guys, welcome back to my channel. So today is going to be another foundation review. We're going to be testing out the bareMinerals BAREPRO Performance Wear Liquid Foundation. I'm going to be doing an 8 to 10 hour wear test today to see how long this makeup is going to last on my oily skin. I always like to do wear tests for my foundation reviews just because I do have such oily skin and it's so hard for me to find foundations that will actually hold up. So if you guys are interested in seeing how this one holds up on my skin, then just keep on watching. Okay, so we are going to be testing out the bareMinerals BAREPRO Foundation today. This is fairly new. It came out about 3 months ago, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong, but I have the shade Silk 14 in this. This foundation is $34 and there is 1 fluid ounce in here, which is the standard fluid ounce for foundation. They also came out with 30 shades, which is awesome. And this is supposed to be a full coverage foundation with a matte finish, and it's for all skin types. And I'm looking on the website right now, and I'm not going to read all this because this is actually a lot, so I'm just going to sum it up. But it basically just says that this is a long-wearing foundation. It's supposed to blur your pores, has a soft, focused, natural matte finish, and it says that you only need 1 pump to deliver lightweight, oil-free, and photo-friendly full coverage. So let's try this out. I'm going to do this the same as I always do for my foundation reviews. I'm going to be using my favorite primer on half of my face just so we can see how this foundation is going to work with the stuff that I use every single day. And I'm not going to be using a primer on the other half of my face, just so we can see how it works on its own if you are someone that doesn't like to use a primer. I'm also going to be using a brush on one side and a beauty blender on the other side just to see how it applies better. So let's just get started, and I'm using my Cane+Austin Primer Protect Mattifying Primer. This is a primer that I use every single day. It just works really well for my skin type. It keeps my oils at bay and it blurs out my pores, and it also kind of evens out my skin tone because it has a little bit of a tint to it, you guys can see. So I'm only going to be putting this on the right side of my face. And then since it did say that you only need 1 pump to cover your whole face and you can build it up if you need more, I am just going to put 1 pump on the back of my candle holder. Okay, so there's 1 pump and it's pretty liquidy. It ran down my candle holder pretty fast. So I'm going to start with the left side of my face first just so we can let this primer kind of sink in a little bit. So I'm going to take half of that drop and dot this around my face. And again, if you missed it, I did get the shade Silk 14. I know I kind of talk pretty fast, so it's hard to catch the shade names. I've noticed in a lot of my videos. I'm going to use a damp beauty sponge to blend this out. It's spreading really easily and blending out really nicely, but this is definitely not full coverage. Yeah, you can definitely still see my pimples and some of my redness on my cheeks. So I would say this is definitely more of a medium coverage foundation. We'll see how it builds up though, and we'll see if I can get it up to a full coverage because it did say that you can build it on the website. And it did dry down to a matte finish. It actually kind of dried down pretty fast, but it looks really pretty so far. So I was going to start out with a full pump for my whole face, but since this definitely isn't full coverage, I am going to go in with a little bit more and try and build this up. Okay, it's building up nicely. It's not looking cakey at all when I'm layering the foundation. I am getting a little bit more coverage on my cheeks, but it's really just not covering my breakout right here. It's almost like it just doesn't want to stick to them, which is really weird. Okay, so this is what it looks like with almost a full pump on my face. There's just a little bit left here. I don't think it looks cakey at all. I think it looks really nice and really soft on my skin. I definitely think that my pores look really nice, and it did dry down to a matte finish. My face doesn't feel tacky at all. It feels very like soft and dry. The only problem is that it's not covering up my pimples right here, which is so weird. Okay, I'm just gonna stop there. I don't want to put any more on at this side of my face, but I do actually really like the way the foundation looks on my actual skin. I feel like it just looks really soft, so I am enjoying that, and I do like the finish that it has. I still can see a little bit of redness on my cheeks up here, so I definitely would not consider this a full coverage foundation, and I even put like 2 layers on. So I'm gonna go in with another pump, and we're gonna use a brush on this side. And the brush I'm using is a Sigma F80 brush. I love this brush for blending out my foundations. It is so soft and it just works so good, and I get a ton of coverage when I use it. Okay, so that is with another half pump on the side, so I definitely did get a little bit more coverage on this side, but as far as how my skin actually looks, I think it actually looks just about the same. Okay, so this is what the foundation looks like after about 1.5, maybe a little bit more pumps on my whole face. I think both sides look just about the same. This one might actually have a little bit more coverage, but overall, I do actually really like the finish of it. I love the matte finish, and I love how it doesn't feel tacky on my skin. The only thing that is throwing me off is just my pimples. I wish I didn't have this breakout right now because that is definitely the only thing that's like really throwing me off right now. But so far it's not creasing in my smile lines, and it looks pretty good on my forehead. Looks pretty good everywhere. I think it looks very soft. My pores don't look enhanced or anything. My pores actually look pretty smooth. All right, this is what it looks like up close before I set my makeup. I'm sure you guys can tell a little bit better now up close that it's not like full coverage. I don't usually mind when foundations actually aren't full coverage though. I tend to like more medium coverage foundations just because they look a little bit more lightweight on my skin. Speaking of lightweight, this does feel very light on the skin. It doesn't feel heavy at all, and I did put almost 2 pumps on my skin. I think it looks really good on my cheek area. My forehead looks pretty good. So far I think it looks pretty good. I wouldn't say I'm like blown away by this foundation, but I do like the way that it's looking on my skin so far. I'm definitely excited to see how it wears throughout the day because that will be the true test. So yeah, I'm gonna finish up my makeup and I will be right back. Okay, so I just finished up my makeup and this is what it's looking like. I think my skin looks very soft. I definitely think that once I set it, my skin did start to look even softer, even though it was looking pretty soft before. I do think that now my pores look even smaller, but I do really like the way my skin is looking right now. It does have a very matte finish. I don't have any glow to my face at all except for where I put highlighter, obviously. It isn't creasing at all in my smile lines, which is awesome because that is one of my biggest struggles with foundations, is it creasing really bad in my smile lines. So I'm really happy that it's not doing that. It's also looking really nice in the sides of my nose. It's not kicking up at all or settling or separating or anything. And before I forget, it is 4:11 right now, but I did finish out my makeup about 20 minutes ago, but I'll still just call time at 4 o'clock, we'll say. So I will see you guys in a couple hours. Hey guys, excuse my messy room back there, but it is 10:41 now, so it's been like 6.5 hours already, and I'm not oily at all. My forehead is a little tiny bit shiny, but honestly nothing bad. I'm not oily at all on either side of my face. The only thing is that my chin is starting to look a little bit dry. So I feel like if you have dry skin, you might not like this foundation only because it just kind of looks a little bit dry. So that's the only problem that I'm seeing so far. It's not kicking up in the sides of my noses. It's still not creasing at all in my smile lines, which I love. The main things that I look for in foundations that I don't like are when I get super oily in them really fast, and when the foundation separates, and also when it creases, and that's doing none of those except for in this little crease in my chin, but it's not creasing at all in my smile line. So that is one of the main things that I look for. So I'll be back to check in at the 9 or 10 hour mark depending on how tired I get. So I will see you guys then. Okay guys, so it is 1:40 a.m. now. So we almost made it 10 hours, about 9.5 hours. And oil wise, I think this foundation held up great. I'm sure you guys can already see. I really didn't get oily at all except for my forehead is starting to get shiny. I am starting to get a little bit oily in the corners of my nose too. I feel like my chin is looking a little bit drier than it was last time I checked in with you guys. And it is creasing a little bit in my line, but mainly over like kind of my old breakouts, it is looking a little bit dry like around the pimples, which I don't really like. Also, right on the apples of my cheeks, it does look like the foundation is starting to separate a little bit. That was not happening last time I checked in, so I haven't even actually looked in the mirror since then. So I don't know when that started happening, but within the last 2 hours, it did start separating a little bit on the apples of my cheeks. I think my forehead looks pretty good, but right here the foundation did come off a little bit where I must have touched my face and it just transferred off. So I'm kind of like in between with this foundation. I don't love it, but I definitely don't hate it. I am going to keep trying this foundation out and using different products like different primers, different setting sprays, setting powders, stuff like that to see if that makes a difference in how the foundation wears, because I did think it was looking really good up until about the, I think that was 7 hours where I checked in with you guys last. I really liked it then. So yeah, I definitely will be wearing this foundation again. It just kind of went a little bit south after like the 7-8 hour mark. So if you only have to have your foundation on for like 7 or 8 hours, I think this would be a pretty good foundation if you have oily skin. For dry skin, I really don't know, because where my chin is a little bit drier over my pimples, it is kind of clinging to that dryness. So I don't know how this would work on dry skin, but if you do have oily skin, it definitely did control my oil. Yeah, so I think that's all I have to say. So if you guys enjoyed this video, then please give this a big thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel if you aren't already. Also, let me know any foundations that you guys want me to try out in the future. I'm trying to get as many of these videos up as I possibly can. So let me know any foundations that you guys have wanted to see and I will definitely try those out. So thank you guys so much for watching this video again and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.